Rananim, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs. Good morning to my listeners here in the tropics, in Micronesia, Palau, Marshall Islands, Guam, those of us on this side of the planet. Good morning. Thank you for waking up early with us. It's about 8 o'clock a.m. at the time of this live stream, 8 o'clock a.m. Chuukese Standard Time. I realize it's about 8 o'clock at night. Saturday night in the East Coast, United States. So to my listeners in New England, in New York, New Jersey, that area, good evening. I imagine you all kind of sitting, having dinner, watching Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs around the dinner table. That's what I imagine. That's what I imagine it's like. You guys just tune in to Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs. For you guys, Saturday night. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, for us, 8 o'clock in the morning, Sunday. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it. A lot has happened since we last spoke. Been a little while. Starting off with, there was a documentary on Netflix called Sly. Now, I realized that I think earlier this year, there was a documentary. There was the Arnold documentary. It was a three-part, documentary / limited series. It's a three-part documentary. Part one focused on Arnold Schwarzenegger as a bodybuilder. Part two was Arnold Schwarzenegger, the actor. And then part three was Arnold Schwarzenegger, the 38th governor of the state of California. And went through the different stages of his life, and he actually was open about his infidelity and how he was accused of sexual misconduct 20 years ago when he was running for governor, and talked about his acting career and his bodybuilding career and just his life. It was really just sort of like a putting it all out there documentary for Arnold, and I loved it. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's in phenomenal shape. Him and Sylvester Stallone, for them to both be men in their 70s, right? I think like Sylvester Stallone is 77, I think. Yeah, I think he's pushing 80, and Schwarzenegger is up there too. They're both like around the same age, like 76, 77 years old. So they're on the other side of 75, both of them, and they're in phenomenal shape. I think that the Sly documentary, which I'll talk about in a minute, and the Arnold documentary. Check out both those documentaries. But the fact that those men are in phenomenal shape for their age, you look at guys like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Jason Statham, who's well into his 50s. I think he's like pushing 60. The Rock, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Dolph Lundgren, the fact that these guys are in phenomenal shape at their age is proof that the choice is yours, whether or not you're going to actually take that first step and show up to the gym and work on yourself. Like I even saw a post on Instagram that said how Donald Trump and Arnold Schwarzenegger are about the same age, but they got two totally different physiques. That is proof that the choice is yours. You can't just say like, oh, genetics or, oh, I'm too old. Like, no. That's all, a bunch of malarkey, as President Biden would say. Sometimes you gotta put your head down and grind it out. Like even at the gym here on campus, there's a poster, and this is the last thing I'll talk about before I actually get into the Sly documentary. There's a poster that I think it's a quote from The Rock. It says, obstacles are challenges for winners and excuses for losers. So we all have obstacles in life, all right? We all have obstacles. I believe in the philosophy that there's no shortcuts in life and nothing is easy, right? You have to be willing to grind it out. And those obstacles, reaching the next level, those are challenges for winners, challenges for you to overcome. You look back at the challenges that you have overcome in life, and you look ahead to new levels, new devils. Like in Christianity, we have a saying, new levels, new devils. So you reach that next level, you have more challenges and more trials, more tribulations. It's bound to happen. Started, then those are excuses. And So the Sly documentary, it talked about Sylvester Stallone's his start in acting. Well, they talked a bit about his relationship with his father, which he did not have. He did not have a great relationship with his father, and he was born with a bit of a lisp, sort of he was born with a bit of a lisp. He didn't have the greatest relationship with his father. His parents divorced when he was very young. His brother Frank Stallone, his brother Frank Stallone Jr., who I realized is also named after his father. His father, Frank Stallone Sr., and then his brother is Frank Stallone Jr. His brother Frank Stallone Jr. stayed in New York to live with their mom, and then Sylvester Stallone, he moved down south, I think, somewhere down south, to be raised by his father, Frank Stallone, who apparently was very brutal. He was a polo player, and apparently like Stallone had kind of flunked out of multiple different high schools, and he didn't have the best upbringing. Some would say, and then eventually, once he had come of age and gone to college, and he got into the whole acting thing, and the rest is history. But he got his in as a writer, and we talked about this on Backlook Cinema, the podcast, where I think it was episode 90 that I did with Zoe over a year ago. So go check that out. To the two of you who have not yet listened to that episode, I'll wait. Go listen to that episode and then come back. We had talked a bit about how Stallone had gotten his start in Hollywood as a writer. Like, he was a writer, but he really wanted to be an actor. And for Rocky, that was his big break. He really was a struggling actor. He had to sell his dog. He could not afford to feed his dog. He had like $106 in his bank account or something. He had to sell his dog, and he was really trying to get the script sold for Rocky. And then he approached Robert Charthoff and Irwin Winkler, who were the producers of Rocky. They worked at United Artists and MGM. He had agreed to sell the script on the condition that he played Rocky. You see, now Stallone, he's a writer, director, actor, I guess, but his whole into Hollywood was he was kind of like the writer who can write, the writer-director who can write and direct himself, be his own writer, be his own director, be his own, be his own writer and director. Although he did not direct the first Rocky movie, and he was able to purchase his dog back. He had to sell his dog, and then once he sold the script to Rocky, he was able to buy his dog back, and actually his dog Butkus is Rocky Balboa's dog in real life, and or was Rocky Balboa's dog in real life. And we see how Stallone got his start as a writer. He wrote the scripts for, I want to say he wrote all 6 Rocky movies. I want to say he wrote all of them, and he wrote and directed all except for 1 and 5. The first Rocky was written by John G. Avildsen, produced by Charthoff Winkler Productions, and written by Sylvester Stallone. Written by and starring Sylvester Stallone. But Rockies 2, 3, and 4 were written and directed by Sylvester Stallone, 2, 3, and 4. And then for 5, John G. Avildsen came back. And I think maybe that was a bit of why. Now, if you listen to my Rocky 5 review, I explained how, in my opinion, Rocky 5 is the worst one. It's the one that just doesn't compare to the first four, and argued like it's not even as good as the last one. It's not even as good as Rocky Six. Rocky Balboa. Stallone was like middle-aged at that point. They tried to dive into the relationship that he had with his son, which really that movie was kind of like a spiritual homage a bit to, and even having Sylvester Stallone's real life son, Sage Stallone, R.I.P., starring as Robert Balboa Jr., and then the movie being sort of a spiritual homage to the relationship that Stallone himself had with his father, Frank Stallone, who I think made a cameo in the first Rocky movie as the bell ringer, I think, in the first Rocky movie. But I think just John G. Avildsen trying to make Rocky V like both a remake of the first Rocky, but also not being a remake of the first Rocky, which at that point it had been 14 years since the first one came out. First Rocky came out in 1976. Rocky V came out in 1990. So trying to make it like time period, like specific to that time period, 1990, like 14 years, times have changed, almost a decade and a half. Times have changed. Stallone's older, Talia Shire's older, everybody's older. The neighborhood has changed a bit, and I just feel like it didn't really work. The antagonist is like kind of Rocky, trains Tommy Gunn, played by, I forget the boxer's name, but his first name was Tommy, and he has transitioned, and the movie ended with the street brawl, and there's been like a ton of like other cuts of that movie, and so I mean, yeah, that movie just didn't hold a candle to any of the previous Rocky movies or the one after. I think Rocky Balboa, it's like Rocky V was an L, but Rocky Balboa, that's how they bounced back. And I think the fact that Stallone came back to actually direct Rocky Balboa, I think Rockies 2, 3, and 4. 4 will always be my favorite one because it was so controversial at that time, because it was so time period specific. I think 2, 3, and 4 were so great because it was Stallone directing himself. He's the kind of actor who can write and direct himself. I think that's like his forte. It's like when he's both in the director's chair and when he's working in front of the camera and behind the camera. That's when he does his best work. So I'm glad that Rocky Balboa, he got to direct that one. They also talked a bit about his family life. I think he just earlier this year or last year, got divorced. He explained how a lot of times, like in Hollywood, as an actor, you tend to put certain things ahead of your friends and of your family. And he talked about doing the Expendables movie back in 2010, the first one, which I really, really liked. Like I think in a previous episode of Talk Time, I talked about the Expendables series and how I really liked 1 and 2. Third one was kind of average, and then the fourth one was just awful. But the first one, back in 2010, he wanted to make it like a big event in Hollywood. He wanted to bring together, his former rival. Like I think Stallone has even talked. He's even gone on the record saying how back in the 70s and 80s, like he was in an actual rivalry with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like here you have another action star around the same time, like at the same time that Stallone was doing, or that Schwarzenegger, my bad. At the same time that Schwarzenegger was doing Terminator and Predator and True Lies and Total Recall, and then for Stallone, he was doing like for every Terminator movie, for every like Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Total Recall and Predator, Stallone, he had Rambo, he had First Blood and Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Commando and Rambo 3, and so the two of them, they were actually in a rivalry, and they like refused to work together. They refused to like do any projects together. And it's funny because like Schwarzenegger, he shows up in the documentary and he talks a bit about how Stallone was kind of his rival back in like the 70s and 80s, and maybe even into the 90s. Like the two of them were kind of rivals who might have butted heads and refused to like work together. But like, it's funny because like they all look back and laugh now. Like Schwarzenegger, he said like, we all look back and laugh at it now, but like back then, it was actually like a rivalry that the two of them had. And hence why for the Expendables back in 2010, Stallone wanted to bring together all of these actors, all these action stars from the 80s, from the 90s, some from the 2000s. It's like we're bringing together all this talent. I think even Terry Crews. There's a video on GQ, the GQ YouTube channel. Shout out to GQ. Shout out to Gentleman's Quarterly, shout out to GQ Magazine, GQ YouTube channel. I can't wait to do a video with you guys. I can't wait to do an interview with GQ one of these days. If any of you work for GQ, just email us at cobbscornerpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, and moving on. So Terry Crews had said how when he was breaking down his most iconic roles, he said how the Expendables, he said they had like billed it as like the most masculine movie ever. It's like you're gonna like inadvertently end up getting pregnant just watching this movie or something. So I mean, the first one they had Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Terry Crews, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, Bruce Willis. Was Bruce Willis? Yeah, I think Bruce Willis. Oh, Jason Statham. Yep. So that was the first one. Oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yep, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And bringing it back to the Sly documentary, I know I went on like a whole Expendables sidebar. Stallone said how during the production on the Expendables, so the movie came out 2010, so production was probably maybe around 2009-ish when they were filming it. He had gotten injured. I think there's a fight scene between him and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the movie, and during production, Stallone actually got injured. He like injured his shoulder, and he injured his shoulder. He had a surgery. He had a whole surgery, but he also mentioned in the documentary how he's never fully recovered from filming the Expendables, and it was pretty taxing. I mean, him as someone who was like over the age of 60, him as someone who was, I guess, I mean, he was like 64 when the movie came out, so he was probably like maybe, I don't know, 63, 64 during production, which is up there. I want to say like official like middle age range is between the ages of like 45 and 64. So for him to be 64, that's like almost elderly at that point. Pretty much elderly, pretty much a senior citizen. So yeah, he said how sometimes you end up putting things before the love of your wife and kids, and he even says how like he today has like fame, has all this like fame and fortune, but he doesn't have that. How again, at times you end up putting the fame and the fortune and all the money and all the attention. Sometimes that gets put ahead of the ones you love, the ones who got you to where you are. So I think that was a very sort of like honest, I guess you could say, come to Jesus moment for Sly. And I just really like what they did with that documentary. They really just talked about his whole journey throughout Hollywood and how he's not done yet. I truly believe that God is not done with Sylvester Stallone yet. His acting career. He hasn't officially announced like retirement or anything, but he is almost 80 years old. So I think he had a show on Paramount Plus, if I'm not mistaken, like a reality show. And the lows of fame, and like it all kind of made sense with movies like Rocky 2 and First Blood, and how really it kind of reflected the and how it really reflected sort of the life that Stallone lived, both on and off camera, both under the lights of Hollywood and privately, publicly and privately. So check out the Sly documentary on Netflix if you have not done so already. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. On to the next topic, because we got to move this along. I've officially wasted 21 minutes of this episode talking about Sylvester Stallone. Pitch Perfect. During the Thanksgiving weekend, Thanksgiving, which I realize now was like, 2 weeks ago? During the Thanksgiving weekend, I watched all 3 Pitch Perfect movies. And I got to tell you, Anna Kendrick, Palm Clementif, Rebel Wilson, they brought down the house. All right. I'm sitting here thinking, why haven't I seen these movies earlier than I did? Why have I not, why have I not seen Pitch Perfects 1, 2, and 3 before I saw them? 1, 2, 3. For me, my official rankings, I would say maybe 2. 2 was the best. I like the second one because it was like a global, like acapella competition. I like the second one, and and of course I remember 10 years ago. I don't really know if you can call it a meme, but I remember like the Cup song by Anna Kendrick, and how that was from the first Pitch Perfect, which came out in 2012. I feel like I kind of remember the first one. I definitely remember the second one. The second one was 2014, I think 2014. And I just remember the Cup song, spring, summer 2013, like everybody was singing the Cup song. It was like a thing. And it's funny, there's that stereotype of it being a chick flick, and me as a guy, me with the old XY chromosome, it's like I'm not supposed to watch those kinds of movies. But I mean, come on, I've seen Mean Girls a million times. All right, I think the movie's a classic. I don't think the new Mean Girls that comes out next month, it's not gonna do the 2004 Lindsay Lohan, Tina Fey, Rachel McAdams any justice. All right, but yeah, Pitch Perfect. The first one, okay, it was like a nice, nice sort of college film, which I feel like there aren't a whole lot of those. Like I realize, at least I think like back in like the 70s, like there was like Animal House, and there was maybe like a few other college movies, but here anyway is Cabin in the Woods, which is kind of a college movie, I guess. Cabin in the Woods and Pitch Perfect. Yeah, Pitch Perfect. I just love like the style of it, the whole like acapella, singing without instruments, and I only wish that at University of Bridgeport we should have had an acapella club. Like this stuff is amazing. This is fun. It's fun. Like, yeah, okay, it's a really fun movie. Nice story about going after your dreams, and not coming of age, but like going after what you want in life, and figuring out who you are, and never apologizing for being yourself. And that's my message to all my listeners. None of you should ever have to apologize for being yourself. You should never compromise who you are to satisfy other people. Stop caring about what anybody else thinks right now, no matter where you are in life. Honestly, I wish somebody had told me that, like as I'm watching the Pitch Perfect movies, I'm thinking, again, that's why I'm thinking, why have I not seen these movies before? Why did I not watch these movies when I was in college, or when I was in high school? I mean, But check out Pitch Perfects 1, 2, and 3. I do have a VPN. I think I watched them on, I think the first Pitch Perfect, God, I can't remember. I think, the first Pitch Perfect is no longer on Netflix US. I think if you use a VPN, or to my listeners in the United Kingdom, Pitch Perfects 1, 2, and 3 are on Netflix UK. So if you're like me and you're outside of the UK, then you would need a VPN. I recommend NordVPN, not sponsored. And I recommend NordVPN, and just change your location to the United Kingdom. It's legal, I promise. And you'll be able to watch all 3 Pitch Perfects. But for me, the second one's the best. First one is the second best. I guess for me, Pitch Perfect 2 is one of those rare sequels that's better than the original. And then Pitch Perfect 3 was the worst. It just didn't compare to 1 or 2. It's like, plus by then it's like 2017, so it had already been 5 years since the first one, and everybody's older now, and like not all the cast members returned. They brought in Haley Steinfeld, who's a great actress in her own right, but just as a movie, it just didn't live up to its 2 predecessors, in my opinion. So check out Pitch Perfect. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about Pitch Perfect. Moving on to the main event this evening, as I'm clicking through my talk time agenda that I have on my phone. Actually, not the main event. First, I'd like to just mention Thanksgiving. I know it was 2 weeks ago. Happy belated Thanksgiving to all my listeners around the world. Here in Micronesia, Thanksgiving is not a national holiday out here, but we did get Thanksgiving off. Like, it was a day off from school, and this year it fell right around the FSM President's Day. So just like how in the United States our President's Day is in February, in the FSM, Federated States of Micronesia, the FSM President's Day is in November. I want to say it's November 23rd, which this year was Thanksgiving. So we had a 4-day weekend for Thanksgiving and I guess FSM President's Day, because Black Friday is not really a thing out here. So 4-day weekend for us. The post office, they definitely had a 4-day weekend. There's a United States post office in town, and they're subject to the U.S. federal laws. So 4-day weekend, my first Thanksgiving in Chuuk. We had lots of turkey and stuffing, and there was games, there was music, there was a lot of dessert, a lot of leftovers. Chuukese Thanksgiving, it's phenomenal. It was top notch. It's funny. We actually, all of the students here at Xavier had to go home. Like the boys as well. Boys and the girls, they all went and stayed in town with their sponsor families. Because the boys also have sponsor families. I don't know if I mentioned this. The boys have a boys dorm, but the girls, they live in town with sponsor families, and the boys also have like sponsor moms and sponsor dads in town, and from time to time they might go stay with their sponsor families on the weekends maybe. So they have like a separate residence off campus. But for Thanksgiving, all of the students, boys and the girls, went and stayed in town with their sponsor families. So So yeah, that was interesting. You know, seeing seeing the campus just empty, free of students. You know, waking up that Thursday morning and not having any classes to teach, not having any classes to teach. Like it was great. It was great. I mean, not having any of the classes to teach. I mean, you know, yeah, it was fun. It was a solid experience. Again, because Thanksgiving is not a national holiday in the FSM, there were some schools that had school. Like I remember I was in town that day. I think that Thursday, schools might have been off that Friday because I think Friday was the observed day off for President's Day. But that Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, I was in town. I saw some students wearing uniforms. So I realized, again, Thanksgiving, like it's kind of celebrated. Like people celebrate Thanksgiving, like here in Chuuk. And we have the day off at Xavier because we get so many teachers from the United States, and Thanksgiving is an American holiday, but the FSM is a nation that has so much U.S. like influence, and as a member of the Compact of Free Association and Xavier specifically, we get so many teachers from the United States, including myself. So yeah, you know, they just gave us the day off, and who knows, maybe one day the FSM will adopt Thanksgiving as a national holiday. I know the Compact of Free Association is currently being finalized in Congress. I think next year, 2024, is when the current compact that was renewed in 2004, it expires next year, 20-year. It's a 20-year compact that expires next year, 2024. So they're still kind of finalizing the terms of the third compact. So maybe they'll adopt Thanksgiving as a national holiday. Who knows? But yeah, that was the Chuukese Thanksgiving. My first Thanksgiving away from home. My first Thanksgiving outside of the United States. Actually, first Thanksgiving outside the United States. I guess it's technically not my first Thanksgiving outside of Connecticut. I don't think. But the first Thanksgiving I really remember, I was probably 3 years old, because I remember we used to go over my great-grandmother's house, God rest her soul, and because her birthday was November 18th, and then we would always like sing happy birthday on Thanksgiving. So yeah. So that and that's the thing about my family. November birthdays, it's just like one after the others, you know. So, ton of November birthdays. And I can't wait to tell you guys about what will be my first Christmas away from home, my first Christmas outside of the United States, and I can't wait to tell you guys about it. You know, we're out here having life experiences here at Cobb's Corner. You know, it's a life-changing time in my life anyway. You know, it's life-changing time in my life, and I hope that you guys, that I can inspire you all, you know, to take that next step, to become the best version of yourself. Sometimes that means going somewhere where you don't know anyone, going to uncharted territory. All right, so that's Thanksgiving. On to the main event. I know I said that about the Chuukese Thanksgiving, but now we're really at the main event. Xavier Day. Okay, actually, Xavier Week. Okay, we'll call it Xavier Week. So, Xavier Week. Let's see. Last Friday, not 2 days ago, but like last Friday. Here, let me get the date because calendar. So last Friday, December 1st, we were having a faculty meeting in the library here at Xavier. And in the student center, there's a ton of noise. And we realized that was the pep rally for the sophomores and juniors team. Because for Xavier Day, there's two teams. They have the freshmen and the seniors team, and then there's the sophomores and the juniors. So the sophomores and the juniors, they had their pep rally during our faculty meeting. So we're hearing a bunch of yelling and screaming and in the middle of, I think we were at like the cultural piece. We were getting like a cultural piece about like Chuukese culture. They usually do that during the faculty meetings. And we're hearing all this yelling and screaming and, you know, because these students have a lot of energy. Students have a lot of energy. And, you know, as a high school teacher, I'm starting to kind of empathize with the teachers that I had in high school. You know, it's like sometimes like as I'm teaching or as I'm teaching or as I'm having to, you know, sit with these kids outside the classroom, you know, coming to my office hours, just, you know, wilding out. It's like, I always kind of sit there and say, it's like, and now I know how my high school teachers felt. It's like, yep, and now I know how my high school teachers felt. Now I know how my parents felt. So yeah, shout out to all the high school teachers out here, here in Micronesia and around the world. You know, big shout out to all of you. We appreciate the work that you do. So that was December 1st. And then this past Monday, which was December 4th, we had our morning assembly that Monday, and it was the pep rally. They had told us ahead of time that it was the pep rally for the seniors and the freshman team. So they had a whole like walkout, there was music playing, and then like everybody was, you know, yelling and screaming and excited, and, you know, it was a little like, seemed a bit over the top at times. Yeah, I mean, bit of a shocker. It's funny. I keep on like half jokingly telling the students, like, I will be billing you all for the hearing aid that I now require. Yep. I just have a feeling my 2 years at Xavier are going to be up, and then I'm going to go back to the States, and I'm not going to be able to hear anything because my hearing will be permanently damaged from these loud children. If any of my students are listening, I'm just kidding. And so, yeah, that was the pep rally for the freshmen and seniors. I'm actually the moderator for the freshman class, the Demetarians. Big shout out to the Demetarians class. All right, class of 2027, represent. Okay, you know, big shout out to the Demetarians. If any of you are listening to this podcast, you know, freshman class here at Xavier High School. Abudux. I realize that means like good luck in some language. Abudux Nation. Yeah, Abudux Nation. And maybe that should be the name of the Cobb's Corner listeners. Abudux Nation. Linguists, please translate in the comments below. It's either Fijian or Pompeian. Like, it's one of the languages that one of the students speaks. And then Thursday we had a few events. We had like the the quarterfinals and the semifinals for the 60-meter dash, and I actually got to race against a few of the students, and so yeah, you know, I got to race against a few of the students. It was fun. It was a really fun day. Before I go any further, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. All right. Now, you've probably been sitting and wondering why I look so different today than I did in my last live stream, that I have in past photos on social media, and, you know. So yes, my hair went away. A Xavier Day tradition is for all of the freshmen to shave their heads. Now, granted, I haven't been a high school freshman in a certain amount of years, but I did join the freshmen I am the freshman class moderator. I am one of the co-moderators for the freshman class. So I decided to go bald as well. Now, really, you're supposed to have a crazy haircut. They're supposed to give you a really bad haircut for the day on Friday, and then Friday shave everybody's head. So now, if any of you go to Xavier, or any of you attend Xavier or visit Xavier, you'll see a bunch of us that are bald. So that is why I have shaved my head. I even made a post on social media Friday, and I was dressed in all black. It was like I guess, the beginning of my cosplay journey. Project Mayhem. For those of you who have seen Fight Club, for those of you who might have listened to my Fight Club review, you'll know about Project Mayhem. Yeah. So that was a reference to Project Mayhem, and how in Project Mayhem we have no name. So actually, I am no longer I'm no longer Mr. Cobbs. We do not refer to each other by our Christian names. I'm no longer Mr. Cobbs. I am now Mr. White. We got a Mr. Blonde, a Mr. Blue, a Mr. Orange, a Mr. Brown, and a Mr. Pink as well. Yeah. Comment down below if you get that reference. If you don't get that reference, that's fine. So I shaved my head early. I got the early bird special Thursday, and Friday was when the rest of the students were. Fridays when the rest of the students were, the rest of the freshmen had gotten their haircuts. So I got mine early, and only because like I really needed a haircut. Like I actually, like my hair was getting pretty long. I really needed a haircut, and I got one Thursday. Friday was Xavier Day, so 2 days ago, and as faculty, I participated. We had a whole like flag ceremony where they sang the FSM national anthem just to start off the day. And there were a number of events. There was a three-legged race. There was musical chairs, which I joined and then left because they demanded that they said you have to dance. I don't dance, guys. Okay, there's two types of people in the world. Okay. Drax the Destroyer once said, and yeah, dancing's just not something that I do. So I had to exit. My freshman class, my freshman boys, again, Demetarians represent. The Demetarians, we won the pyramid. Freshmen and seniors, we won the pyramid. The boys won the pyramid contest. It's like they all had to like form a pyramid. And I think I had even suggested maybe you just have me stand at the top. But then I had concluded, nope, that sounds like a lot of paperwork, a lot of injuries, a lot of trips to the embassy. Yeah. It's like, as I keep telling my students, I really like my job, guys. I do. Teaching, podcasting. All right. But yeah, we won the pyramid because it was great. And I had my, bald head. My hair is actually starting to grow back. It's been 3 days now. And I was wearing sunglasses. I had the top G look, top G, Andrew Tate, my guy. I'm a supporter of him. But the rope didn't have a good grip, and I don't know, the sophomores and juniors, they just were stronger than us, I guess. Yeah, I guess, I'll admit we actually lost that event. And then I did the obstacle course. I ran through a whole obstacle course. You had to jump over one bench. You had to crawl under another. You had to carry a wheelbarrow with a tire, and then you had to like jump through a tire, and potato sack race. That was fun. Yep, that was also fun. I saw they had some other like choo-choo train where they had to like create a train with each other, and So yeah, Xavier Day, and this is all in honor of St. Francis Xavier. All right, look him up, St. Francis Xavier, who had traveled to Micronesia. He was alive back in like the 16th century, St. Francis Xavier, and he had traveled Asia. He traveled, I think, to India. He traveled to Japan, and he had said how the Japanese were kind of the most disciplined, probably like, I think he said something about like them being like the greatest people he has ever met, he has ever encountered. So, and that's who our school is named after. Xavier High School, Micronesia. We're named after St. Francis Xavier, Jesuit priest who never made it to mainland China. Like, we had a whole mass at school on Thursday. There was no school Friday. So Thursday we had a school-wide mass, and they told us like the story of St. Francis Xavier and his whole like ministry and that sort of thing, and how our school is named after Francis Xavier. So that was pretty interesting. And the reason why we celebrated Xavier Day, St. Francis Xavier, he died December 3rd. I forget the exact year, but he died on December 3rd. And this year, I guess due to other circumstances, we celebrated Xavier Day on December 8th, Friday, December 8th. We actually got to have the board of directors got to attend Xavier Day. Like, it was really, really just a really fun day. That Thursday was one of the students' birthdays was on Thursday, December the 7th. And then another student, one of the seniors, so one of the members of my team. Well, let's see. One of the freshmen's birthdays was on Thursday, December 7th. And then one of the seniors' birthdays was Friday, December 8th. So that was so that was fun. They had lots of food, lots of cake. They had a nice little video, a tribute to the seniors. So overall, it was a fun day. It's a fun day. The food was from Layside, which is it's a restaurant here in Chuuk. It's a restaurant, and it's also a like a small little convenience store kind of business place, Layside. All my listeners from Chuuk know exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, we had a lot of food, had a lot of fun. It's great. It's a great day. Xavier Day was my first Xavier Day, and it will not be my last. I'm here for 2 years. So it'll be my first of 2 Xavier Days. And no, I am not going bald again next year for Xavier Day. No, I will not be. I will be. And how perfect that the third quarter starts January 8th. January 8th. So gives me about a month. I got my haircut on December 7th. So it gives me 1 month. I got a month to grow all my hair back. I feel like my hair hasn't been this low probably since like middle school, maybe once during COVID. During COVID, I didn't get a haircut for 3 months. Like when the world first shut down, March 2020, I didn't get a haircut for 3 months. And then June 2020, I went to go see the barber that I was seeing at the time. He had a station set up in his basement. He was cutting hair from his basement, and it was appointment only. And I think I had him take my hair down to, I think it was a 1. I told him take it down to a 1 with the grain. So I guess technically when you go with the grain, you take off less hair. I think I told not as low as my hair was cut on Thursday. Thursday, I got a 0. I got a 0 with the grain, but with like the blade open or something. So yeah, it was open. It's a 0 with the grain. Barbers that are listening, please explain in the comments. You can articulate better than I can. I'm not licensed barber. I do not know how to cut hair. So yeah. So that was Xavier Day. First of two Xavier days, and I did kind of play both sides a bit. I did kind of help the sophomores and the juniors with a few events, and then maybe help the freshmen and the seniors with a few events as well. You know, it happens. You know, I like to kind of think of myself as a Ronin, you know, a bit of a traveling swordsman type, you know, traveling samurai with no master, you know what I mean? Just out here doing what I can to improve the world, to add value to the world. That is our highest calling as men, to bring value to the world, to produce value. So I hope that I have added value to your life by you listening to this podcast. And we're one big, happy family, Cobb's Corner family. We're going to be the biggest family on the internet, guys. All right? Yeah. So happy Xavier Day to all my Xavierites. I'm officially a Xavierite, officially official. It's funny, I've been here in Micronesia 4 months, and I already don't miss the weather. I can only imagine how cold it is in the States. It's like in the 80s. It's been in like the 80s, then the 90s consistently the whole time I've been here. A lot of rain, though, a lot of rain. The whole like kind of rainy season, dry season doesn't, I mean, it's like it technically exists. I mean, I guess I came here in August, which is the end of the dry season. And I think the rainy season is like September up through maybe December. So we're kind of nearing the end of the rainy season. I think the dry season starts in like January, maybe like January, February. But with global warming and climate change, it's really just thrown off everything. So it all kind of blends together eventually. So, but it beats whatever weather you guys have in the States. So stay warm. To my listeners in the United States, I can only imagine how cold it is in Connecticut right now. That was the warmest Thanksgiving I've ever had. This is the warmest December I've ever had. It's about to be the warmest Christmas ever. It's about to be like 80 degrees on Christmas. I'm going to have a warm birthday next year. So, yeah. So, yeah. I guess now I was going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I would like to maybe just mention how give a shout out to my church family back home, New Vision International Ministries, NVIM, as we are in the midst of our 21-day fast and consecration, where you push away the plate for 21 days, where you pick a fast and you stick to it, and you spend time communicating with the Father and talking to God and praying and consecrating and sitting and listening to what the Lord is trying to say to you, what the Lord is calling you to do in this season and in this life. So that's been refreshing. It's my pushing away the plate and drinking lots of water and just getting into my word. I've been waking up every morning and I've been reading for myself these past couple of days. So, I mean, I know the uploading hasn't been 100% regular. It hasn't been like 100% consistent since in the 4 months since I have come out here to Micronesia. The uploading hasn't been as consistent, and I know that the episodes have not been as like regular as they were when I was in the States. But just know I've been like kind of taking some time to reflect and taking time to sit and journal. What I'm doing now with the month of December is what I started doing December 1st is reading one chapter in the book of Luke. The book of Luke has 24 chapters in it. It's the gospel according to Luke. Luke, who was a doctor or physician who had traveled with Jesus throughout his ministry. He was not one of Jesus's disciples. But the idea is that if you chapter a day, every day, between December 1st and December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, then by Christmas morning, you will have read a full account of Jesus's life, his birth, his lineage, the work that he did on this earth in the very, very short 33 years that he was actually alive on this earth. It's a very, very short amount of time. The work that he did in his 33 years on this earth, to then his betrayal, his incarceration, his crucifixion, his betrayal, him being betrayed, arrested, crucified, and resurrected. So, one chapter a day. That's what I've been doing. And it's been great. You know, I've actually never sat and read the whole book of Luke. A few passages here and there, but just know that, you know, just know that Cobb's Corner is not going anywhere, and there may be times where I might not upload every single week. I might not have the time, whether if it's me taking some time out for myself, and I recommend that you all do this as well. I recommend that you all kind of, you know, regardless of what your belief system is, just taking time to kind of sit and just kind of be with yourself and just kind of sit and think about things and just take a step back, you know, take a step back. Like I know there's been all these videos, I've been seeing videos. Shout out to Prince E. He did a video on monk mode. It was watch this before 2024. It's I dare you to disappear for 6 months. And he's talking about a lot of great things. You know, there's a reason why monks will go and live in solitude, and they will cut themselves off from the rest of the world. And I'm not saying that you need to go do that, but I think it is healthy to kind of just go on a sabbatical every now and again, maybe, I don't know, once a year or once every 2 years, you know, just kind of take a step back and, you know, spend some time with the ones that you love. And maybe you don't need to post everything. You know, maybe you don't need to post everything. Maybe you don't need to tell everyone about what you're doing or what you plan to do. And maybe you just take some time away from the spotlight, you know, and then come back better than you ever were. So that's just a, not PSA, but that's just kind of my sort of update on, you know, where I am in life right now. And I'm looking forward to the new year. You know, I can't believe that 2023 is over now. We're in the last month. We're in the second trimester of this 21-day fast. As I'm recording this, it is now, as of the recording of this live stream, it is December the 10th here. So we're already 1 week in. So got T-minus 11 days to go. And then T-minus 11 days to go. And it's going to be great. That is all that I really have for this episode of Talk Time. Thank you all for listening. If you made it to the end of this episode, I greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check out my most recent episode, which I will link to somewhere on the screen. And, you know, if you liked what you heard today, then don't forget to give us a review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And don't forget to share it with your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It really, really helps us grow. Don't forget to like this video. Comment down below your favorite part. If you have any content suggestions, feel free to comment down below. Also, you can email me at cobbscornerpodcast@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok to stay up to date with new episodes and with new content that I will be posting. All those links are in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed your stay here at Cobb's Corner and here at Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs. I will talk to all of you in the next episode. Peace.